Hello and a very warm welcome to the IAS Hub. This is a down-to-earth series where we will be discussing the fortnightly magazine which is released twice in a month on a weekly basis. From every 15 days this magazine will be released, and I, Madhu Sudhan Reddy, will be discussing this magazine on every Friday at 6 p.m. So last week we have discussed the first part of this magazine, in which I have dealt about the disaster fortified, an issue which is regarding the Joshimath incident, and also and the wild chestnut plant which is in US currently under the genetically engineered considerations, and last one, the elementary of mystery, that is about a particular component which is polluted. And today, this week, we will be taking up 3 different articles which are most relevant for the UPSC Civil Services examination. And here, our first article we are going to take up is the control and delete. Now, what is this control and delete? It is regarding the National Food Security Act. So, the National Food Security Act in the recent times have faced some controversy. Ye controversy kya hai, and the rulings of the Supreme Court which has been given, we will also try to learn that. And the next article we are going to take up is World Turns into Africa for Rare Earth Elements. Now, what are these rare earth elements, or is rare earth elements ka importance kya, significance kya, and also the status of India in this rare earth elements. And the next article that we are going to take up is Drought's domino effect. Suppose, imagine if water is given a gender component, how would that react to? And if water and gender, the genderization of water takes place, how the situation would be. Now that has been given in a beautiful case study by taking the Marathwada woman, and we are going to learn into detail using that. So let's quickly begin with our first article. Our first article, it talks about control and delete. See, recently there was a controversy that the National Food Security Act implementation, when it comes to, there are many people who have deleted from this National Food Security Act. Now, what do you mean by this deletion? Deletion is nothing but if you are given a ration card and that ration card status have been changed. Maybe if you have a white ration card, you are given a different ration card. Maybe you have a one colorful ration card, now this color ration card has been changed. Whenever the color of the ration card changes, now the fate of an individual who is below the poverty line, or a fate of an individual to feed their family, will also change. And it is generally said that the success of a nation is ultimately measured by the well-being of its people. Yes, truly. See, in India, this success of well-being can be broadly measured by 2 major schemes. One, the National Food Security Act, and the other one, it will be the Manrega. So any fundamental problems into this acts will definitely have its impact on the well-being of its people. So let's see what exactly is this article talking about. This article talks about that government's resilience on decade-old data due to delay in census has resulted in exclusion of millions from the safety net of the Food Security Act. So how is this census related to the National Food Security Act? We have to look forward for that. And there is a quota system which is involved into this National Food Security Act, because of which currently number of people are being deleted from this act. And also we also need to look into few articles which are in news and circulation, especially the Down to Earth has picked up. That is, let's look into the comments of one of a chief minister who says what he says regarding the National Food Security Act. He says that 7.4 million in the state are still unable to access the ration due to the ceiling imposed by the central government. Now, what is the ceiling? Ceiling kiske liye imposed hai? We need to know about the concept of the ceiling as well. So we'll try to understand the concept of ceiling, and we'll also try to understand the other concept which is associated with the poverty and also income related associations with the National Food Security Act. See, using increase in income as a metric for determining percentage of people who required ration card is inappropriate, as it does not take into account inequality. So how does the measurement of inequality and also the inappropriation which is involved in giving ration cards and deleting ration cards? Along with this, an aspirant should also be aware of the concepts of the types of ration cards, which is a bare minimum requirement these days, but though there cannot be any questions directly asked, but that is the basis on which you will have the understanding for this article. So let us also look into another comment which says that the Jharkhand government has given green ration cards. Are ye green ration cards kya hota hai? Again, we need to know about this. Secondly, it is using the population prejudice to revise ceilings of the PDS beneficiary list is a no-brainer. So how is this population linked with the National Food Security Act? This also we need to know. Now we have to learn about 4 different components which are being part of this along with the quota system that we have talked about. Now all in all, it's an interdisciplinary article, and this article requires some basic understanding what exactly happened before the National Food Security Act and what are the prospects that we got to see post National Food Security Act, which has been enacted in the year 2013. So before we go any further, one question I would like to take up, and you can also answer this question in the comment section, and you can also download this PPT from the description of the video where our Telegram channel, wahan se aap download kar sakte ho. Okay, let us quickly begin with a question here, and then we'll dwell in very detail about this article so that you will have a complete picture. So let's look into the question. The question says, consider the following statements, and here the statement 1 says the state of inequality in India report is commissioned by Niti Aayog. Second statement, India has not declared its poverty figures since 2011, measured on the basis of consumption expenditure survey by the National Sample Survey Office. Third statement, the periodic labor force survey is given by the Union Ministry of Labor. Now, which of the above given statements are correct? State A says only 1 and 3, C only 2, and D all of the above. I would be waiting for 10 to 15 seconds for you to answer in the comment section, and then we'll be discussing in very detail. I'll come back to this question again to discuss. So let me wait for 10 seconds so that you give a reply. Okay, let me repeat the statements here. The state of inequality report in India is commissioned by the Niti Aayog. India has not declared its poverty figures since 2011, which is commissioned by the consumption expenditure surveys by Niti National Sample Survey Office. And the next statement is the periodic labor force survey is given by the Ministry of Labor. Now here the answer would be all of the above. Okay, you might be wondering that India has not declared its poverty figure since 2011. Yes, on the basis of the data which is measured on the basis of consumption expenditure. See, the poverty can be measured on the basis of consumption and the basis of spending as well. So India since 2011 has not given this data yet. Now all the 3 points which you see it in the form of question are related to this article. So let us quickly decide and let us quickly learn what exactly is the National Food Security Act. See, the National Food Security Act has been enacted in the year 2013. Now when this act has been enacted, it has been clearly stated that the major purpose of this act is to provide a legal status to the hunger component and also provide the malnourishment a full scale barrier. So it is to provide food to beat the food insecurity and to beat the hunger and the malnourishment, right? And also here comes the act, that is National Food Security Act, which legally entails 75% of the total rural population and 50% of the urban population into this ambit. That means near about 2/3 of India is now under this act, right? 2/3, it is near about 81 million, near about 800 and plus million people, 2/3 of India, where the food is given at a subsidized rates, right? Now this is the major component of this act. That's why the well-being of an act or the well-being of a nation is related to this act. Today, if this act takes some kind of blunt, it also spillovers onto the well-being of a nation as well, right? Now here the National Food Security Act, when it has been enacted, all the previous schemes which were part of the public distribution system, they were also being subsumed into this act, right? And finally, the act said that from now on, we are going to have two different types of ration cards. Now, the first type of ration card is given to people who are called as Antodaya Anna Yojana, and the second type, they were put under those people who are not part of the Antodaya Anna Yojana, they are now put under the priority households. So we'll try to understand who are these Antodaya Anna Yojana card holders and also who are these priority households. So earlier, India used to have 5 different ration cards. Now you need to have some background to make some sense about this article. The background says that India used to have 5 different ration cards, and these 5 different ration cards are: 1, it used to be a priority household ration card. The second one, it is the Antodaya Anna ration card, and the third one, it is above poverty line. Fourth one is below poverty line, and fifth one is Annapurna Yojana. See, this Annapurna Yojana, the cards are given to someone who is old aged, जिनकी एज 65 से ऊपर है. So for them these cards are given, and some provisions under the Food Security Act are also given to them. Now below poverty line, above poverty line, these are components which have been utilized before the National Food Security Act. Now once this National Food Security Act came into picture, all these 3 have been struck down, and today only 2 cards are being issued. Right? That means the subsumption of this entire cards have been taken place. Only the card system has been shut down, but the criteria to put them under the below poverty line, above poverty line has been resumed under the PHH as well as AAY. Now, if you clearly look into this, here you will find some kind of similarities in the third one, fourth one, and fifth one, that is above poverty line, below poverty line, and the last one is Annapurna Yojana. See, above poverty, below poverty, the poverty here is a concept of economics. That means the concept of poverty related food has been moved away from the Food Security Act. Later, what did they do? They simply said that there are people who would be considered as a priority household, and there are going to be people who would be considered as Antodaya Anna Yojana. Now on this basis, if you see, only after 2013, all the cards have been subsumed. Now what are these cards that have been subsumed here? Look, there is a green ration card. It used to be called as above poverty line. No longer this card is there. Now khaki ration card, this khaki ration card is given for other priority households. You also have yellow ration card that was given for state below poverty line and also center below poverty line. Next, pink ration card, which is given for Antodaya Anna Yojana. Now this kind of system has been shut down, and the color combinations, the color codings are given on the basis of white, yellow and green. Okay. We need not go into technicalities and details in understanding these color codings and the ration cards. Here my agenda is to tell you that a number of interdisciplinary cards have been subsumed into 2 different categories. But here comes the catch. The catch is that, see, the National Food Security Act is a central government or centrally sponsored scheme. But when it comes to the implementation definitely needs the help of a state government, right? So it is the nodal duty of the state government to go identify, okay, this person needs that requirements of food and this person needs that bare minimum subsidized food. So it is the state government which is going to identify. Now look at the state like Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh has a large population. That means large number, very big number of population will be requiring this act, right? Now go to Tripura. Tripura has very small amount of population, but do you think that the same amount of food should also be given to Tripura? No, it does not make a fair choice. So for that, what did the central government do? It has said that it is going to impart some kind of quota system to every state. Quota system is nothing but, for example, if you take a state as Jharkhand, Jharkhand is having less population than the state of Uttar Pradesh. So the state of Uttar Pradesh, what they do, they give a large quota for that, and the state of Jharkhand will be given less quota, right? That means there is quota system which is given to this National Food Security Act. Now, every state will be having this quota. That means beyond this quota, they cannot exceed, right? So here comes the issues of quota and also the poverty related aspects to the Food Security Act. In the next 5 minutes, you will get a complete clarity, but for that, you need to have an other basic understanding what exactly are the ration cards which are given under the targeted public distribution system before the PDS, that is before the National Food Security Act. See here, there used to be a ration card which is given in the name of below poverty line before 2013. Now below poverty line people, they'll be given some 10 to 20 kgs of rice, wheat and dal at a cost of 50% of the economic cost which that used to be there. And who will be identified as the below poverty line? It is the state government which decides, right? The guidelines are with the state government. Similarly, if you see the above poverty line, 10 to 20 kgs of rice will be given, but they are given at a higher cost, still subsidized only. Next, if you look into the Annapurna Yojana, this Annapurna Yojana, 10 kgs of food grains per month used to be given for whom? Anyone who's aged above 65 years of age. But once this National Food Security Act of 2013 came into picture, I told you all they have been subsumed, and finally it is given in the form of Antyodaya Anna Yojana. In this Antyodaya Anna Yojana, you will find that those people who are not having a stable income, they will be given food. If you might have witnessed the COVID-19 situations, there are many people who have walked thousands of kilometers across places in search of a safer place or in search of going back to their hometowns. In this due process, there came a scheme, if you remember, that is Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Now, what did this Garib Kalyan Yojana says? The Garib Kalyan Yojana tells you that whoever is part or whoever is unorganized, who are not able to get the daily wages, they will be given, or mostly the below poverty line people are given the food at a very cheaper and subsidized cost, right? Now, at a cheaper and subsidized cost, if you are looking forward, it is also the similar, that is Antyodaya Anna Yojana is also of a similar component. Now, which says that women, old aged people who do not have stable income with them, that means all the migrants who were part of the COVID-19 migratory time period who flew, who walked thousands of kilometers, don't you think they also come under this Antyodaya Anna Yojana? Yes, they do come under the Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Now imagine if those people do not have ration card, do you think the National Food Security Act provisions should not be given to them? Now here comes the question. Yes, a similar kind of incident has been in news in the recent time. This is what the Down to Earth reports, and a court, the Supreme Court of India said that it has questioned the central government, asking that agar unke paas ration card nahi hai, won't you give food to them under the National Food Security Act? This is what has been asked by the Supreme Court, for which the central government again came up with a solution saying that sir, section 9 hai, section 9 provisions hai. So they were not in a position to settle them under the National Food Security Act. So that's why they went in for the Garib Kalyan Yojana, ताकि एक नया scheme create किया गया था, उसके अंदर everyone who is registered that they do not have a stable income, they would be given the food at a very subsidized rate, that is 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupees pe kg rice, wheat, and also it is the coarse grains are given to them, right? So imagine the National Food Security Act, no ration cards. So other solution was the Garib Kalyan Yojana, right? Now today, by the end of December 2022, the Garib Kalyan Yojana provisions are stopped. And you know that National Food Security Act came up in the year 2013. Now when this act came up in the year 2013, today it is 10 years to this act. How come? What are the changes that this act came in, act has brought into? We should also look forward that a decade-old implementation into this scheme, how come the changes are seen in the day-to-day life? Okay, let's come back. Here, there is an other set of households, they are called as priority households. Now, is priority households में those people who are not part of the Antyodaya Anna Yojana, they are put into this, and in this category, the food provisions that are given to them under the targeted public distribution system is that 5 kg of food grains, 5 kg of food grains per person per month. Okay, whoever is having this particular card, right? Now the card can be either in these colors, but they will be categorized into the only two schemes, that is Antyodaya Anna Yojana and the priority households, right? I hope you have some kind of basic understanding by now, right? Now here comes the picture. It is 10 years into the National Food Security Act, and today what are we trying to do? We are trying to go for one nation, one ration card. देखो, वन नेशन वन रेशन कार्ड इंप्लीमेंटेशन के लिए ना काफी ज्यादा रिसोर्सेस चाहिए. एक इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी मैकेनिज्म which involves cooperative federalism between the center and the state and the state as well. To implement this, for example, just imagine a situation where a laborer from Jharkhand is working in the down south Kerala and still he can access those bare minimum food requirements. Still he is a laborer, but he can get that food in the Kerala itself. And the provisions of the central government and the state government, whatever they have been given, now it is given in the state of Kerala, a person of Jharkhand. Isn't that a very beautiful scheme? Yes, of course. But इसमें implementation के अंदर काफी ज़्यादा hurdles हैं. Now what are those hurdles? It is just about the exchequer which is involved of one state to another state, because it is the state government which will decide who is a guy who is falling into the category of the priority household or Antyodaya Anna Yojana. But here comes the catch, that is, since some time there is a pattern which is involved in the deletion of the people who are part of the National Food Security Scheme. It says that a pattern has emerged in the deletion of the names of the PDS card holders from the beneficiaries list. Provisions of the National Food Security Act could have a role in this. In simple terms, what does the statement say is that there is a particular pattern in which the people are added into the National Food Security Act ambit, and a particular pattern in which people are deleted, right? Now, how is this done? Now, there is some criticism which says that how come they are able to add and they are able to delete? See, the criticism here says that there is a ceiling limit which I told you, every state beyond which the population cannot be given the poverty or the National Food Security Act status or the cards to them. So it is just simply put on the basis of poverty and also on the basis of population data that the state has. Imagine the state of Jharkhand. The quota was fixed for the number of people at 26.42 million. This is the factual data which I have taken from the report itself. So 26.42 million itne log ke liye the government has said that you can give the cards or the National Food Security Act provisions to them. On what basis? On the basis of population and on the basis of poverty data, right? That means this state is having that quota. Similarly, UP में जाओ, UP quota, you will be seeing that UP will be having larger number of populations under this ambit, right? So population to be covered under National Food Security Act, UP will be having 152 million people, right? But still, today you see population covered under the National Food Security Act, the UP, still there is a mismatch of 149, that means near about 3 million people ka mismatch hai. Now, what are these 3 million people eating? Where do they get their food from? Are they buying from the government or are they going for an outside source? Like that. Now imagine every state में कुछ ऐसी लोग हैं जो लोग data has been deleted from the National Food Security Act, right? So recently the Supreme Court has questioned how many number of people are being excluded from the National Food Security Act in spite of they being eligible for that, right? So here comes the criticism. The criticism says officials often say that it is officials. That means it is a perspective which we are taking into account. So please do take it in a good light, in a constructive way. Now it says that due to quota in a National Food Security Act, new ration cards are not being made. That means imagine the number of people who are falling back into the poverty of one particular state. Imagine that is Jharkhand. Jharkhand, I told you there is a ceiling of 26.42 million. For suppose the state of Jharkhand, for some reasons during the time of COVID, not just 26.42, maybe 30 million tak population tak, the state has went into the poverty or very backward categories. So don't you think that the national food security provisions need to be given to them? Of course, it need to be given, right? But यहाँ पे scene क्या है? That is 26.42 के ऊपर the state cannot have that provisions, right? So that's why what does the government officials do is that simply they delete the old people, and if there is some kind of pressure, they will add the new people, but still the ceiling limit is met. That means new people are coming in, some people are put out, but the ceiling limit is still the same. But see here, the National Food Security Act is based on the population data of 2011 census. Today, it's been more than a decade or near about decade that our population has been increased by near about 20 plus million. That means near about 20 crore का population तो हमारा increase हुआ. Now what about these people? If these people are not given the ration cards where they have to get the National Food Security Act provisions, are we doing some kind of injustice to these people in the name of legality? Yes, we are. This is what the Supreme Court says. Now let's look into the guideline, what exactly the Supreme Court says here. I have taken some lines from the document or the report itself. The Supreme Court says that it has said in its report, it says that it is in our culture to ensure that nobody goes to sleep empty stomach, right? And it has also questioned that if at all those people who are not having this particular card, are you not going to give them a food? Because India is a welfare state. Now it is the onus and the duty of the government to keep that welfare component intact. So here comes, the Supreme Court says that not using population projections goes against the spirit of the court judgments, as it clearly said that government must redetermine the number of people who would be given not on the basis of the population but on the basis of some other data, right? Today the census is not yet out and it might take some more time. So meanwhile the court has asked, go for other provisions where you can give this provisions of National Food Security Act to those eligible but not having the legality provisions, right? So finally, the logic behind deleting the ration cards, it is also given by the central government. The central government says that the first logic, it has said that the per capita income has been increased by the since 2013. मतलब मान लो आपके पास हर साल कुछ X amount of money you are getting and you are considered the then time period पे the below poverty line और अंत्योदय अन्ना योजना, लेकिन आज आपका income बढ़ गया तो you have been deleted from that, right? But do we take inflation component into this? Now here is the question. On the one side the prices of the food rises, on the other side you spend more on these food components and your income also increases. So inflation adjustment hai ki nahi? Again we have to check for this. Now the second reason the central government has given is that it is part of the process of weeding out the ineligible and duplicate fake or ghost beneficiaries. Yes, here we can give a benefit of doubt to the central government that ghost identities are there. For example, those people who are no longer existent, their cards might be there. The food is irregularities ho raha hai. Now see, no doubt there are some irregularities, but we have to have a solution, right? Now where does this solution come from? The court has recommended, why can't we use the data of the e-Shram registration portal? Now what is this e-Shram registration portal? If you remember, during the time of COVID, millions of migrants have been moved from one place to another place. That means they are given an X scheme that is called as Garib Kalyan Yojana. Can't we use the data of the Garib Kalyan Yojana and match with the Aadhaar so that we will get to know who is having an proper ration card and who is not having a ration card? With this, can't we not use this data to give the ration cards to them instead of going for population? Now, again, once it is an act of national food security, the section 9 says that only populations shall be used. The next census shall be used for giving or revising the data or the quota level of one particular state. So, all in, the solution here is that it says that eStream portal jo hai, it also has Aadhaar card data and also income category. But first itself, we have already said that above poverty line, below poverty line, and the Annapurna Yojana ke andar jitne bhi components hai, we have deleted, right? So that's why when we deleted it, we clearly understood that we are no longer going to use the income category, right? But now the Supreme Court again suggesting that why can't you use the income category? So see here, more or less the question or the concept revolved mostly around the category of income. Can we use income as a criteria for giving the National Food Security Act? Comment. You can try to attempt this question, and let's go back to our old question which we were discussing. Our question of the preliminary aspect which we talked about is that, see, the State of Inequality of India report is commissioned by Niti Aayog. One of our think tank, Niti Aayog, is giving this report. Can't we take this data? Yes, we can take that data. Now, India has not declared its poverty figures since 2011. Yes, India has not declared abhi tak. 2011 के बाद जो पहली बार national sample survey is going out for a poverty figures which is based on the consumption model, that is consumption expenditure survey, only today by the month of June 2023 the report will be out, right? So it's near about a decade one such report is absent. So this becomes important for your prelims. Now, the periodic labor force survey is given by the Union Ministry of Labor. Yes, it is given by the Union Ministry of Labor. That periodic labor survey today, it is helping us to understand the eStream portal. Ye jo eStream portal hai, that eStream portal is going to help us identify who should be having a particular food security component to them and who shall not be having. But let's wait for the time to come. Only time will tell you how exactly is the government going to proceed. Now, I think this is the base on which you have to proceed for the National Food Security Act. Mostly, the hot topic or the debate is regarding the income criteria, and should we use the income criteria to go for the National Food Security Act provisions, right? If you have any doubts regarding this topic, you can post the comments in the comment section, and also the PDF of this particular PPT shall be available in the Telegram channel. The link is provided in the description. Now let's quickly move to the second article. This is a very interesting article. This article says that droughts domino effect. Ye droughts ke andar kya domino effect hai? See, firstly you need to know what exactly is a drought and what is the domino effect which is associated with the drought. And thirdly, if a gender is being assigned to the drought component, that means water is given a gender, and genderization of water, if it is done, what are the impacts which you are going to see that we are going to look forward for. So let's read the headlines, or let's read what exactly is written here. Certainly of lifelong hardship to fetch water from faraway areas combined with back-breaking work in the farms is scaring Marathwada women away from getting married to a men living in the water scarce region. See, earlier if there is no water, one would not live into that area, but today the women of Marathwada, they are not preferring to marry a guy who's living in that Marathwada because there is water crisis. Now, how come this social component is associated with this water crisis? This is what we'll have to look forward for, right? See, let's look into this. Before that, firstly, एक छोटा सा important facts ले लेते. Now, water or the drought is a component of SDG 6. SDG 6 says that clean water and sanitation is the bare minimum requirement for the women, right? not just for the women, it is for the entire society, right? Next, let us try to understand what is a drought and what are the different types of drought. Now this is an article which can be helpful for the preliminary examination point of view. Say drought in India can be broadly categorized into 5 different types. Now the first type of drought which you get to see here is meteorological drought. So meteorological drought means if at all the rainfall is not, a good amount of rainfall isn't there, then you consider it to be a meteorological drought. There can be hydrological drought as well. Hydrological drought means whenever you do not have enough sufficient amount of water in the reservoirs or in the supply of rivers, lakes, aquifers, then it is considered to be hydrological drought, right? And the third category of drought is called as agricultural drought. Now agricultural drought is nothing but whenever a crop gets destroyed due to the lack of availability of water, then it is called as agricultural drought. Now you might be having a question that, sir, can there be a meteorological drought and agricultural drought? Yes, a meteorological drought can lead to an agricultural drought, right? But not always an agricultural drought can be of meteorological drought. See, go to northeastern part of India. You might have heard about Mosinram and Cherrapunji, right? It receives on an average a rainfall of near about 1500 centimeters per year or about 1000 to 1500 के बीच में होता है. But फिर भी that region is called as a drought prone region. Why is that region called a drought prone region? If you know the answer, please comment in the comment section. Meanwhile, we'll be discussing these topics and again I will come back to the question. Now the next type of drought is called as ecological drought. See, this ecological drought is the most recently defined type of drought, and in this ecological drought, what is taken into account? It is soil moisture. If soil ke andar there is no moisture, then it is an ecological drought, right? Why? Because a soil or a plant need to function some niches. If that niche is not fulfilled, then it is considered to be an ecological drought because there is no soil moisture present in that. So lack of soil moisture will kill the functional unit of a organism. So the root cause is that lack of soil moisture, then it is considered to be an ecological drought. The next type of drought, it is socio-economic drought. See, this socio-economic drought is a very interesting topic. That is what we are going to learn today. Let us read this definition here. Droughts refer to when a water shortage affects the supply and demand of a drought commodities such as water, food grains and fish. Okay. That means a drought which is impacting some kind of life forms, and then you get to see some kind of changes in the human behavior as well. So firstly, let us look into the drought prone areas of India. And in this drought prone areas of India, if you broadly look into it, is the central or the plateau region, jahan par western, the Maharashtra region, the Marathwada region, this is the major drought prone area. And also the Telangana, southern part of Telangana, that is Rayalaseema region, is also part of this drought prone area. And firstly, let us try to understand what exactly is a drought and definition of a drought by the Indian Meteorological Department. See, meteorological drought, it clearly says that if there is 25% or less amount of rainfall in this particular year, then it is considered to be a normal drought. But if it is 25 to 50% of rainfall is less as compared to the last year normal rainfall, then it will be moderate drought. And agar 50% say upar ka, if there is not amount of water that is available, it is considered to be severe drought. But when it comes to a meteorological drought for 4 consecutive weeks, then only it will be called as an agricultural drought. Okay? Ye hai broad definition. How does the government of India takes into account once if there is agricultural drought, it will also lead to some socio-economic aspects as well. But see here you need to understand the short-term impacts of a drought and the long-term impacts of a drought. Now this can be easily understood by a short case study of the Marathwada woman, right? So before that, let me tell you, the most obvious impacts of a drought are either there is a crop failure, right? Or there is fall in the farmer's income, right? This is something which you get to see on a regular basis. And nextly, soil moisture kharab hoga. That means again, the species that are living in that ecological drought can be there. But on the other side, if you look into the long-term aspects of a drought, that is malnourishment bhi ho sakta hai. It can also lead to mass migration, people moving from one area to another area. Today, this is very evident in the case of Marathwada. Marathwada region, the men are moving out from that region to search for jobs in the outside area. The women who are living in that area, they had to walk for many miles a day. On an average, the case study says they have to walk for 4 hours a day. When they are walking for 4 hours a day, what is the work that they are doing other than that? They also had to go do the household works, cultivation, if at all there is some kind of land, or else take care of the family, give proper care to the child, and also, don't you think that their impact on the health shall be there? If at all there is any illness to that woman, what happens to the family? This is the biggest questions that today the socio-economic droughts are asking, right? So it says that there are some changes in the social behavior as well. Now what are these changes? We'll look forward for. So the changes in the social behavior can be understood from a case study that I said, from the Marathwada case study. Now here, let's see what exactly are the farmers of the Marathwada are saying here. Now a woman from that local area says that, I do not want my daughter to face the same difficulties that she has faced, and for the past 18 years, this woman, or I have spent 4 hours in the morning fetching water and then doing the household works, taking care of other activities, cultivation, couple of hours, again the work is there. Apart from that, she said that I work in the farm fields from 1 AM to 5 PM. So this is the situation that the women of Marathwada are facing. Now they do not want their kids or the childs to face the same. Now on the other side, let's look into the male version of this. Women in the villages are not ready to get married. Okay, why? Due to this, men have started overlooking the caste and community and other social aspects. That means, look at the positive component that is associated with the drought. So drought, though it is having a harsh phenomena, but on the other side, it is breaking the caste barriers. That means men today, no longer they are looking out for a woman of their own caste or a woman, they have their special choice now. If water is there, I am going to that area. Right? Now, these kind of social behaviors also you get to see in the drought. Now, this is a long-term change. Now, this long-term change may see, let's try to understand what exactly is this case study trying to tell us. This case study is trying to tell us that, number one, firstly, government of India or the general governments, it's a criticizing statement which says that men is associated with agriculture or irrigation, but women is associated with the concepts of the washing, cleaning and household works. Okay. Now, how is the government taking this into consideration? We have to look forward for. This case study has clearly defined that. Now, it talks about some invisible components which are part of this study. Now, what are those invisible components? Let's try to understand. Firstly, you see here a typical rural woman, some or all of, they do some or all of the tasks which are mentioned here. See, it says that they also cultivate crops, as I already told you. They go for look after the children and the age-old people in the house, and they rear cattle. Yes, they do rear cattle, and clean, wash and mend the household works. Now you might be having a question, why is this woman doing all? Are the men not helping in the agriculture farm fields? Yes, there is no help the women of Marathwada has. Why? See, the economic survey says that of the 2021, there is a mass migration that is happening from men moving into urban areas. So the women are left behind in the rural areas, and the womanization of agriculture, that means the component of women is now associated with agriculture. Okay? That means women in that area are now taking care of the agriculture also. They are also taking care of the household works. They are also taking care of getting the water all the way. On an average, they have to walk for 3 to 4 hours a day. That means the help from the men is only financial help that they are getting. the emotional component and the social component which the woman needs in the time of difficulty, that is no born harmony in the social gatherings that is there. So this led to the hardships that women not choosing men of the local area. Rather, it is said that they want men, or they are preferring men who is working in the urban areas, right? And also they are going for people who are salaried employee. That means people who are left behind as a male, they are no longer looked up to, right? Now this is a small case study which has been given, and the pressure on the health and the rural women also need to be considered here. Now how is this linked up with the concept of malnourishment and mass migration? See, malnourishment is nothing but, see, imagine that a woman has fallen ill in this region, so she do not have much of a time to recover back, and also she do not have that time. तो recovery time होना चाहिए, वो recovery time नहीं मिल रहा है. Because of that, before they recover, they go back to the works, and immediately after giving the birth to a child, within no time they had to get back to the work. Now this is leading to malnourishment and also poor health of a woman, and it is also leading to the child's undergrowth or underdevelopment. Now this is one of a social aspect which is related with the drought and a region like Marathwada. That's it with this article. I hope this article has made some sense to you. Okay. Now the last article that we are going to take up today is World Turns to Africa for Rare Earth Elements. Okay. World is turning to Africa for rare earth elements. So this article में हमें क्या जानना चाहिए? You need to know about what are rare earth elements, what are its importance, significance, and where do we find in the world, and why are they called rare earth elements, and the status of India here, right? So firstly, rare earth elements are those elements which are present in the periodic table. Now where are they present? They are present in from the atomic number of 57 से लेकर 71 तक. Usually there are 15 rare earth elements or metals, but इस 15 elements के similar composition के अंदर or similar characteristics, there are also two other elements that are showing. So most of the scientists, they do also consider these two elements as rare earth as well. Now what are these exceptions? The exceptions are scandium and yttrium. Scandium and yttrium is also considered to be part of these rare earth elements, but in technicality there are only 15 rare earth elements, right? So here, firstly, you need to understand the applications of these rare earth elements. On a brief note, every individual today, if they are owning a phone, or if you are wearing your specs, or if you own any electronic gadget or an automobile, you are using those rare earth elements. So that is the significance of the rare earth elements and the mass utilization of the rare earth elements, which on a day-to-day basis, we definitely need them, right? So here you have to understand, why are these rare earth elements called as rare earth? Is it because are they not available? That's why they are called rare earth elements? The answer is no. The rare earth elements means usually they are available everywhere, but they are not available in good concentration. Suppose if I take a big chunk, this amount of ore, and I start to extract in this, I might be getting a small component of rare earth elements, which is generally used in an automobile's cameras. If I'm able to talk, if you're able to hear, there is a rare earth element here, there is a rare earth element in this. A screen has, moreover, every gadget today has that element. But why is this a so much talked element? It is because when you dig thousands and thousands of matter, in that you might hardly get few grams. Okay? But they are present everywhere. Their concentration is not present in one particular area. Okay? That's why they are called as rare earth elements. It is not because they are rarely present, it is because their concentrations are not present at a one single place. If you look, the amount of gold that you extract, the gold is present in a very concentrated manner. You go and dig copper. Copper एक ऐसी material है जहाँ पे concentration नहीं ज़्यादा मिलता है. Every household today uses a copper, right? If you dig 100 kgs of copper ore, you might hardly get maybe few grams in that. On a similar way, copper is a very strong, one of the most important element. And also the concentration of copper is very lessly available, right? Similarly is the case of this rare earth elements as well. You dig more, you mine more, you spend more to extract small metals, small elements or small matter of it. So that's why they are also called as rare earth elements. Nextly, if you look into the applications here, as I told you, anywhere and everywhere, every gadget today has this rare earth minerals. And see, be it a TV, be it a ceramic, be it metal alloys, magnets, other LED bulbs, catalyst, electronics, that is where the application of this rare earth elements is. But why is the world now looking to Africa? This is a question which we need to understand for ourselves. See, look into the status of India today. India, across the global level, if you look into the global level, India on an average today, it owns 6% of, just a minute, it owns near about 6% of the total rare earth elements in India. Now China is having near about 43% of the rare earth minerals. That means the entire world is today dependent upon China. Most of the companies, they are not willing to depend on the Chinese material or the Chinese rare earth elements. Now the alternative area that they are looking forward for the future mining, that to post 2025, is the African regions, because they are the least explored region and the possibility that the reserves are more present. Today, China alone is accounting for 43%. India keval 6% hai. So here India also need to look forward for the extraction of this material. On the other side, we should also go for some domesticated policies, right? So let's quickly see some reserves in India. India may more or less, they are widely abundantly present, but we are not in a position to extract them. Why are we not in a position to extract? The cost that is associated. High amount of cost or a very high cost is involved into this to extract, because the concentrations are less available. So you spend more to get less. No industry would like to do that, right? On the other side, on the other hand, you might have come across the concept of polymetallic nodules. ये polymetallic nodules है क्या? देखो, polymetallic nodules are nothing but in a particular rock you might be having multiple small elements within it, right? Poly. But लेकिन ये छोटे components है. इस छोटे components के, if you collectively extract them in that one rock, hundreds of polymetallic nodules will be there. So concentration is again absent. But these polymetallic nodules are present in the deep sea, जहाँ पर the concentration is highly present. That is available only in the deep sea. On the surface, the polymetallic nodules are very leastly present, but within the sea, they are widely present. Now, India के लिए कुछ suggestions है. We can go forward to find out some solutions under that. Now, what are these solutions? Again, we have to look forward for. Now, it is clearly says that the solutions are that, one, India firstly should go for a similar kind of mission mode which we have done for the other extraction entities. That is, India should go for a rare earth mission, which should include a deep ocean mining mission also, and also the expertise from other areas as well. First one. Secondly, India क्या करना चाहिए? India should go for domesticated policies from the extraction. That means tie up with the industries, tie up with the research facilities, and also build domestic capability and broad-based supply mechanisms. And we should also integrate the extraction of the rare earth minerals with the program of Make in India. If you go to the extraction of program through Make in India and Atmanirbhar Yojana, the program Atmanirbhar Bharat program, here it will be giving some positive benefits for us. So in this way, it is said that India ko, the extraction of the rare earth minerals need to be more here. And also the other recommendation is that आप captive mines को बंद करो, and इस captive mines को rare earth minerals को extract करने के लिए give permissions from outside. ठीक है? And also the costly process that is involved in the extraction of the rare earth minerals is because when you extract a metal or a rare earth mineral, that mineral in raw format cannot be utilized in the industry because most of the minerals are present in the form of oxides. ठीक है? देखो, pressed minerals usually take the form of rare earth oxides. इस oxide को हमें mineral की तरह convert करना है. ये जो process है काफी costly process है. But if we can do it, if we can enhance the production domestically, and if we can look forward for the future, not depending upon China, because China is today the manufacturing hub, whereas Africa, it is the future manufacturing hub or the future of the world market. So we should have some kinds of hands where the exploration of the rare earth materials should be done. On a similar way, along with that, India should also go for extraction of domesticated rare earth minerals through technical know-how within India, through the mission modes of the mission programs of deep oceans, understanding the polymetallic nodule components, going for deep drilling ocean minings and making up a reserve for that, so that the materials that are made in India are cheaper, affordable, and also globally we can be the market for the future. Now these are some of the solutions which are given in this article. I hope I have made some sense to you regarding the topics that we have discussed. Now these are topics that we discuss in very detail, and the next Friday I am going to come up with more relevant articles of the next edition. And for the PDF, here you can go to the link in the description and you can download it from our Telegram channel. And thank you guys. See you next week. If you do like it, please press the thumbs up button and do subscribe to us. We come up with a better and a relevant content in this industry. Thank you.